Alright, this is the Hotten X from Walkera. I received this today from Terrence with Chinese Jade in Hong Kong. He shipped to me on Thursday, I think. It took 2 days to get here. It's pretty cool. Got the camera, just not the car. Sorry, I got the canopy just sitting on there, and I'll show you a few things. So this is going to be part 1 of 3 videos. There will not be much flying in this videos. If you want to see some flying only, skip this and go right to the end of the video where I will show a little bit of indoor flying stability, and then part 2 and part 3 will be outdoor flying. So I'm gonna just talk about this a little bit here briefly, and then show a bit of indoor flying, and then like I said, show some outdoor flying after. So let's start with the canopy. A lot of people have commented on it, and they think it looks real cool, and they think it's a nice looking canopy. Well, to each his own, I guess. Me, I think it's really ugly. I really don't like it. I think it's way too big. Look at the size of that thing. It's ridiculous. It's so big. Just for a tiny little bit of electronics like this, you got this massive canopy going on there. So I think it adds too much weight unnecessarily, and then it's not even good looking. That's a personal opinion. A lot of people think again that this is a very cool looking quad. Me, I was never quite fond of the look of it. Canopy itself is made of, I believe, plastic. It looks like. And then there's 4 lights on there. 2 of the lights are in the front, will flash during the binding process, and then the 2 back lights will rotate between blue and red depending if you're on in 3-axis mode or 6-axis mode. Now if you look at this plug here, let me focus on this here. I'll show you this plug right here. This plug is pretty much a common Walkera connector, and it connects. Let me use a screwdriver to show you here. It connects right to this plug here. Problem is that these 2 other plugs here, these 2 other outlets here, are the same. So they're compatible, except the one for the lights, which is this one, it's got under 2 volts coming out of it. Meanwhile, the 2 at the back here got over 5 volts coming out of it. So, if you do like me, and you pull the canopy off, I actually removed the canopy myself to adjust the gain here. You see the gain pot, the gyro gain. And then when I reinstalled the canopy, I plugged it by mistake into one of these connectors, one of these outlets, and I blew up the lights, which is not a big deal to me, because I don't plan to use this canopy anyways, and I plan to actually put lights on the arms for better visibility. So blowing a couple LED lights, which are easy to replace, you can buy those at like an electronic shop for very, very cheap. It's not bothering me. What does bother me is that Walkera would do such a silly thing as to put 2 connectors, 2 outlets right next to the actual light outlet that have 5 times more voltage in them. So I think it's going to be a bit of a money-making thing here, where they're going to do well selling the light kits for this canopy, because I think a few people will make that mistake and then blow their lights up. So that's for the canopy itself. Me, like I said, I'm going to build something much smaller that'll cover and protect the electronics, and something that'll also be quite a bit lighter. And this guy here, I've not weighed this canopy, but it's heavy. It's too big. Okay, so that's for the canopy. As for the quad itself, I think it's very well made. It seems that there's quite a bit of attention put to it, and there's a lot of metal, which makes it quite strong, I think. This part here, the landing skids are metal. This part here is carbon fiber. The booms are metal, and then the actual motor mounts are CNC. And they seem quite nice. They're pretty good looking motor mounts. And then of course you got the brushless motor there. When looking at unboxing videos of this machine here, I thought it was difficult to tell exactly how big it was, and I thought that the motors were a fair bit smaller. Now let me give you a size comparison. There's a cigarette lighter here. Let's look at the thickness of the motors. They're about the same thickness as a cigarette lighter. They're about the same width as a cigarette lighter, a little bit wider. So they're not tall, they're short, but they're decent sizes. They're quite big for that size quad, I guess. So yeah, the quality, the build quality seems quite nice. You got the receiver on top here and nicely stacked over the ESCs, and it's got the little rubber absorbers between each layers there to keep vibration down, which is quite nice. And then yeah, that's about what I would say about the build. The motors seem very well balanced, and so are the propellers. You get absolutely no vibration in the motors propellers, so this is also something nice, which is you know, I think Walkera did very well in that respect. Now let me show you a size comparison. Over here I got a DJI F330, and let's put this guy on top. It is pretty much identical size. So it's about the same size of the F330. So around 330 millimeter in size. Now, just want to choose my words properly. If you look here, I changed the battery connector, put some beans on there. Comes with something like this, which is silly, I think, because I mean, who uses these things? Never seen them on anything like these proprietary plugs. It's really not a smart idea. They need to go with something that's a little bit more common, because I mean, essentially a lot of people have their own chargers and whatnot, and so it just means they have to change the plugs on there. So that's what I did. I put a Dean plug on there, and I also replaced the plugs on the battery, and I'm using micro Deans now. What else? The battery itself is 1000 mAh. It's too small. I've tried it now outside today, flying it, and it does not have enough performance for the weight of the quad, basically. So I went ahead and tried again, and I tried a 1300 mAh 35C discharge battery, and that was flying a heck of a lot better. And I think that could probably go up with a 2C battery, 2S battery can probably go up to nearly 1800 mAh to really get acrobatic performance out of this model. But the 1000 mAh battery, is fine for someone who wants to, for example, do aerial photography or have an onboard camera, which there is a camera that will come with this. It's quite small and light. Then that's fine, I think. But for aggressive flying, you do need something bigger than 1000 mAh on this. Now, I guess one final word about this is, you know, like, gotta consider, you know, the price. You know, this model costs around $200 now. Right, and the advantages are that it's ready to fly, it's all put together, and so it's really good for someone who has no experience putting together a quad and who wants to do maybe some FPV or aerial photography or just learn to fly. I think it's a very decent option. You don't have to worry about having to build a quadcopter and tune a quadcopter. It's tuned, stable, ready to fly right out of the box. But I think they charge for that. There's a definite price tag to this, and I guess the downside is that it still does not perform like what I would call a hobby grade quad in terms of acrobatics flying. It does acrobatics, and it does acrobatics quite well, but if you compare it to something like this, right, which of course will take you a fair bit of time to build it, you can't buy this kind of quadcopter ready to fly like this Walkera here, but this will outperform this Hotten X like it's not really comparable. That's the bottom line as far as performance for acrobatics is concerned. However, this guy here is a lot more stable. You see, I'm running a KK2 board on this. which is a pretty stable platform, pretty stable flight controller, but it is still not as stable as this Walkera Hotten X. In fact, again, as much as the performance from the hobby grade quad here and this Hotten X is not comparable, as much as the stability is not really comparable, whereas this the Hotten X definitely wins in terms of stability. It is extremely stable, requires very little trim, and it hovers on a dime. It's yeah, very impressive as far as that is concerned. So I think due to that, it's going to be maybe not the best quad for acrobatics, but definitely a good option for someone who maybe A, doesn't want to bother building one, or B, who wants to use it as you know, aerial photography or put an onboard camera on there. Then you've got yourself a very decent option in the Hotten X. So let's go ahead and show a little bit of flying, I guess, and this will conclude the first video of 3 videos. I'll show just a little bit of indoor flying now. This guy, show the stability, and in the next 2 videos you can have a look at some more aggressive outdoor flying. I'm running the stock battery in it now. Let me move to my garage area. Now the lights are not turned on, they're disconnected. Like I said, I blew up the rear ones. It wasn't broken or anything like that. I broke it. That's what happened. So let's have a look. And here it is, just trimmed it now. Incredibly stable. This is no hands here. Just trying to bring it under the light here. I'll show you the transmitter. Let me trim this just a little bit better here. Yeah, that looks pretty good there. Check out the stability. That's in 3-axis mode. Be even more stable than this in 6-axis. There's the camera. Still no hands here. As far as the response, it's quite good. But the IFP in the settings, I guess, the way they've got the flight controller set up, the I is too low. It will self-correct itself even in 3-axis mode. See, let go of the side click, it stables itself. So very good again for aerial photography and that sort of thing, for awesome stability. Not the best for acrobatics. Decent yaw response. And that'll conclude the indoor flight and review. Go have a look at video number 2 and number 3 if you want to see some outdoor flying with this. This is Walkera Hotten X, and I've received this again from Terrence with Chinese Jade in Hong Kong. Alright, stay tuned for the other 2 videos. Cheers.